Hi there. You are now tuned in to A Thought in Progress. Subtitled, I Have Something to Say. I wanted to share my story on this platform to help combat mental health stigma, the stigma around mental health, okay? In a way, I'm a professional crazy person. I'm a CPS, which is a Certified Peer Specialist. And what I do is I meditate and I contemplate my own issues. And then I create groups to run at a recovery community center. Yes, I do get paid to do that. I went through some trainings and still going through some trainings. And so that's what I do. I help other people who have issues because I have issues. And so I'm able to empathize and work with them because I've resolved a lot of my issues on my own with help from therapists and natural supports. I want to tell my story in this first video and talk a little bit about how my story may be able to help you or someone you know. All right. So my story really starts. I was born in 1982 in Lamar, Colorado. At 2 years old, my family moved us to Pennsylvania, and then my brother was born in 85. So what happened when I was 4 years old is really shaped me really in some negative and positive ways. I don't like to think back on my past and regret anything or wish anything had changed because I think that today I'm doing pretty well. I'm okay. And the person that I am today is because of those past struggles and difficulties. So if anything, I'm thankful for the adversity. And I think that's a healthy attitude to have. So when I was 4 years old, I was sexually abused by a babysitter. Now I don't remember it at all. I do have some nightmares, and when I was a teenager, I guess you could call them flashbacks. But really, the only reason I know it even happened is because of the struggles I have today, right? I was so young. I was in my formative years, and it really messed me up with feelings of intimacy and having trouble with intimacy and trusting people. Because what I learned from the abuse is that intimacy is a bad thing that I should not trust, right? And so for years I was very good at pushing people away and disconnecting with people and really disconnecting with reality. And I think that's where the mental health issues started for me. So that was the beginning. At 4 years old, I was sexually abused. Later on in life, I spent some time in mental hospitals and prisons. So the first time I went in the hospital, I believe, was might have been 2000, 99, 2000, something like that, around the turn of the century, around the turn of the millennium. So what happened was I was very angry for a lot of my early teenage life, right? And one day I realized how angry I was, and in my mind there were some homicidal tendencies, right? At my parents for not protecting me from what happened to me when I was 4. So I realized that's where my mind was, and I said, you know what, this is not okay. And I at the time I drove, so I drove myself to the hospital there in Chester County and admitted myself. And everybody was like, oh, you're so strong, you're so wise, you made the right decision, this is so amazing. And I didn't feel that way. I felt like crap. I felt like hot garbage, okay? I felt horrible. But but there it was. That was my first mental hospital experience, and I started it. So from there, uh, there were some tumultuous years in there. Um, I ended up at one point I ended up in jail for a week because I pushed my mom into a wall. She was nagging me so much, and I had just got home from working. I believe I was working at a Sam's Club or a Walmart at the time, feeling really good about myself, and that's one of the themes I want to touch on in this on this channel, talking about ego and how when we think too highly or too lowly of ourselves, that's when our problems really happen, right? So I came home from work one day and I was feeling great. I was, oh yeah, I'm amazing. I did real good. I'm getting paid well. And she's nagging me. And I was just like, you're not seeing me. That's what I felt like saying to her. You're not seeing me. You're not seeing how well I'm doing. You're just attacking me and telling me what to do. And that bothered me, and I got violent with her, and it was one of the most horrible things I've ever done. I pushed her to a wall, um, and really, I think we could really say that it was a manic episode, right? A manic attack, right? Manic episode for me, because when the cops showed up, my brother ended up calling 911. And the cops showed up, and I called them names. I called them pigs. I was off the handle, out of pocket, and I unloaded on these cops, these police officers, and they didn't deserve it. My mom didn't deserve it. My brother didn't deserve it, and I was just angry. I was very angry. And they ended up hauling me away. I spent a week in jail, crying, rattling the bars, just completely up beside myself with regret and sadness and disappointment. And my parents ended up feeling bad about it too. This was the first time I was in jail. I've been in jail 3 times, but this was the first time. So my parents ended up hiring a really good attorney, and I was out of there within a week, and had to take anger management classes, which were a joke at the time. They were a joke. And I don't know if they were a joke because they were not effective classes or effective people running them, or if I just wasn't in the place to accept the help. But it really didn't do much for me at all. And I was having so many problems socially that I couldn't connect with any of the guys in there or understand them, because a lot of them were very angry. I was angry too, but not in the same way, I guess you could say. So I finished anger management courses, that course, and so so I ended up going to college in Pittsburgh the following year, I believe. And I barely graduated from high school, actually, because I cut so many times, because I had this terrible social anxiety, like unbelievably horrible social anxiety. I couldn't sit in class. In my defense, I was getting picked on a lot too, but I was so sensitive I couldn't deal with it. They were picking on me, and I just ended up, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. So what I would do is get in my car in the morning, fake like I'm driving to school, and then, go to the library or something, or go to the movie rent. They had movie rental places, so I would go to like movie rental place, rent some horror movies, come back home and watch them after my parents had left. They had no idea I was doing it. I did this for weeks at a time, forging excuses in my mom's and my mom's signature, and I got away with it for a long time. I don't know what. I guess the school figured I was like really ill or something. I don't know, but I got away with it for a long time. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that that's where I was, right? So at one point I was actually talked to the counselor, and I was telling her that my parents were abusing and mistreating me, and they really weren't. It was just usual stuff, but I was so sensitive. That's what I told them, and I ended up staying with one of my few friends at the time, staying with him and his parents for a while. And I know that hurt my parents terribly, and I that's one thing I actually do really regret, because they didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve that. The issue was me, right? I think that's important. Like when we realize that the issue is ourselves, and we can't put that blame on anyone else. I think that's when the healing and the the, the waking up really begins. Um, so anyway, um, that's the beginning of my story, and I hope you'll tune in again because I'm going to be relating the rest of it. To give you a preview, I did end up in Norristown State at one point, and also Philadelphia County Jail for a year. But we'll go more into that next time, okay? Thanks for watching.